They all OD'd from Ethan's stuff. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer. Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Okay, so we went through episode 1 of Amazon Prime's newest documentary on the Idaho student murders. There was some conflicting information when it came to who the 911 call, who the first person on the call actually was. The eyewitness accounts, the people that were there's accounts are differing from the court documents. All of the court documents, and remember, 911 information has been sent over from both sides. They actually took the defense's transcript, and that's the one that the state approved to use as their own, that the court then approved, and it was all validated. It all says Bethany was the one who was the first person on the call. But in this documentary, we're being told it was Dylan. Which one's right? Honestly, because of what just happened, we'll probably never know. There's a lot of discussions about what's in all of these over on Twitter, so if you don't want any spoilers, don't go over there. But before we get started, I do want to bring something up that a lot of people are mentioning. The Goncalveses are not in this one. There's talks of Kaylee, there's pictures of Kaylee because there's pictures of Kaylee with Maddie, and Kaylee is a big part of Maddie's story. But we're not hearing how the Goncalveses reacted whenever all of this went crazy. We're not hearing exactly how the Kernodles reacted whenever they got the information. I don't know if they come up later, but for now, we're not hearing anything about the Goncalveses. And from what I'm understanding from everyone that's already watched all 4 episodes, they're not in this whatsoever. But they have their own stuff brewing, okay? Just trust me on that one. Mister, this isn't Hollywood. You know, we just wait. So I'm going to go ahead and start this new one. Let's see. Let's just see. They're talking about how everyone just wanted to get as far away from there as possible. We know that a lot of people packed up that same day, waited to cancel anything that they needed to cancel, and just packed up and left. Lots of people did that, and some of them never went back. What if the person that gets arrested is actually one of our own? Oh, don't worry. They had a plan way ahead of time to make sure that that didn't happen. Now, some people were mentioning how it didn't really look like Maddie's mom was really crying because there wasn't tears and stuff like that. I will say this. It's been almost 3 years. Not that the pain goes away, but it does get more dull. And if you're talking about it constantly, then you're basically desensitizing yourself the way that a lot of people in the real world are desensitized to real bad things. They don't think that they're very bad anymore, and that's why we're all disgusting. Okay, let's just be so for real. Anyway, I feel like it's about on track. It's been almost 3 years. Again, she's probably talked about this a lot, even though she hasn't really been on camera a lot. Some of them have. And it seems pretty normal to me. I could be not reading it correctly, but time has passed. She looks like she's getting upset. I don't feel like at this point it's a bad thing that she doesn't have waterfalls. You know what I mean? Maddie's mom just said that she herself didn't have any enemies in life, so she couldn't understand how this could happen. That's interesting that she had that thought process. And she's also apparently having the thought process of they were maybe also being stalked, and she was also having issues with like any little sound set her off. Maddie's mom. I guess I could understand that, honestly, especially since it feels so random. I mean, I know that whenever I was dealing with my own thing and I had all my intuitions of him being out of jail and the court being way behind and telling me and all the things that people that have been here for a while have already heard, I would hear like the wind moving the leaves outside and have a panic attack. So, I mean, I get it. Okay, so I'll stop and say something real quick. It just showed Hunter Chapin saying how there was just like this huge silence because somebody from their family just wasn't there anymore. I say that because... And I'll probably do a small video reaction to this interview, but the Chapins did an interview that came out this morning. And honestly, I'm really disturbed by what the frick I'm hearing out of them. Apparently, Maisie and Hunter went to the DMV or something like that, and it shows that there should be also Ethan because like the birth date information, and they were asked, okay, where's Ethan? Because the birthday is like the deadline for whatever was happening, so they should all three be there. And instead of just being honest and being like, oh, our brother passed away, it's just us now, they lied apparently to the DMV person and was like, oh, he's at work. And then now from now on, instead of saying that they're triplets, they're going to go around saying that they're twins. I'm sorry. So you can go back to the university where he was murdered, where he was just brutally destroyed, and that's fine. But the DMV worker asks you where he is, and suddenly you want to change your entire identity that you've known your entire life to now exclude him? And Stacy's just like, it's fine. I could not believe what I was hearing, and I could not believe the lack of what the F comments, because hardly anybody was saying anything about how freaking weird that was. No, we're twins now. We're just going to forget Ethan ever even existed. What? So listening to him just be like, it was so silent because a huge part of our family was missing, and now knowing what I just heard this morning, I had to make a comment. You just know I had to. What? Many, many, many mornings of waking up and crying in your coffee? Maybe that's why some of y'all think that this was filmed a long time ago, because I've heard him say that before. Man, now I'm going to have to go back and find all that, because I've heard him say that in that same salmonish color shirt. Huh. They said that Moscow PD called him every day with information as much as they possibly could. Okay. So Hunter, Johnson, and Emily went and met up with the Chapins at the cabin and like hung out with them for a while. We just sat and talked through what had happened and started thinking about the day before. Where was everybody at? What was everybody doing? Are we going to get finally information about exactly where Bethany and Dylan really actually were? Because when it comes to Bethany's timeline, Little Miss Exculpatory over here, she was at the same Sigma Chi party that Ethan and Xana were at, where there was a freaking problem. And no one can say that there wasn't a problem because Jeff wanted to go over there at midnight, but he had been drinking, so Jasmine wouldn't let him. And that's whenever he said that Xana and Ethan were at home. And that's the connection between all the silence, is Little Miss Exculpatory Funk over there being at that same party, and there being nothing but discrepancies when it comes to Xana and Ethan's timeline. Everything has been flip-flopped 18,000 times with no answers. Now we're jumping back to 11/12. Let's see how much information they actually give us. So at King Street, on King Road, that morning, there was a shindig to pregame. This is the core friend group. Okay, but they're not... Okay, they're showing all the photos, right? These photos were not taken at King Road. And that's what everyone's saying. That this little get-together, this little gathering was at Xana's house. And they're showing the pictures. But these pictures were at the apartments next door at another girl's house. She's already been part of another documentary where she talks all about it. See, they're putting the wrong visuals into the storyline, and that's not what should be happening. Because then that literally makes this false information. Everyone who lived there was there. The party lasted all day. Hunter Johnson said he was really drunk and he left his phone there. Dylan and Maddie both took pictures on my phone of themselves, like a million of them. They took pictures outside because they were all dressed up for game day. Okay, but that's not King Road. They're still showing pictures from the apartments. So if everybody was over at King Road that day for like a whole bunch of time, where's the photos from that? I'm very confused at this contradictory story. And I don't want to say it like incorrectly, but I'm pretty sure that the girl's apartment they were at, I want to say she was like an Asian girl, a really, really pretty Asian girl with really like shiny black straight hair. That could be wrong though, but she was on one of these other documentaries, one of the earlier ones, talking about how everyone was over there pre-gaming, not over at King Road. Okay. Xana and Ethan left to go to the game after they took that photo. Josie said that's the last time she saw Xana and Ethan. was before they left to go to the game. Okay, so now we have the fall formal for Maisie, and this is where she invited Ethan. They left that party at 9 o'clock and went to Sigma Chi, but she didn't actually go to the party. She went to bed. Ethan wanted her to come and hang out. We all want you here. Okay, so that was for the Sigma Chi party, not being back at King Road. She said that Ethan never says I love you. See, they meant this part was also in something that we watched not long ago. I feel like it's only been like a week or so. We talked about this. It was an interview that they did, I think the Monday that all the plea deal stuff went crazy. She said that him saying I love you was not normal. And I questioned it then because whoever could have been Ethan, might not have been. Let me go back and look at the timing it says on this. It was saying, we want you over here, come over here. And then at the end, the whole I love you thing. It's not showing the time. This would have been after 9 p.m., which is the same time, honestly, that's in the PCA for whenever Bethany claims to have seen Xana and Ethan at the Sigma Chi party. So that's interesting too. But she apparently went to sleep, didn't answer the text for a while, and is now saying that it's not normal for him to have said I love you at the end of the conversation, and that's why it sticks out, because that's not normal. So who's to say that it's actually him that was texting her when it could have been somebody trying to lure her over there, and she could have been number 5? That's where my brain goes with that, because that's weird. See, we all want you here, and then the love you, which was also weird because we don't say that to each other. Okay, so they're showing footage of a party, but is this footage from that actual Sigma Chi Lodge party from that night? Okay, there's Hunter Chapin. This could be any night. I think that was Ethan. Josie went to bed at 9 o'clock instead of going to the party. I wish we knew where that was from. Okay, Hunter Chapin just said that Ethan and Xana were in Hunter's room at the party at the frat house, and then around 1:40ish is the timestamp that it's showing that they went back to King Road. But that doesn't make sense, because we just had information that after 2 o'clock, whenever Kaylee and Maddie and Dylan and Bethany were in Kaylee's room talking about going to get food, Xana and Ethan were not home yet. That's in a court document from the judge. Okay, so now we have David Barriochoa saying that he was a sober driver that night. I heard people talking about this on Twitter. The last time I saw Xana, she was on her way out of Sigma Chi, and she was like, you never come hang out. You need to come over more. Okay, so he didn't say a time for being around just yet, but now they've gone backwards to the corner club at 1 o'clock, and they're showing pictures from the girls' phones or from Be Real. Okay, so here comes the Argonaut guy for the university paper. Ben DeWitt. He's claiming that he's known Xana since elementary school. I don't think he's naturally blonde, bro. Okay. But something looks odd. He doesn't look like he's supposed to be a blonde. And his eyebrows are blonde, but there's like a dark undertoning. And honestly, it looks like somebody didn't use the right toner, because there's a little bit of brass in the blonde. I could be wrong. But something about this guy does not look natural. Oh, this is the one I think people have been talking about. Some people think that this guy is the guy who made the video. Do you remember the video that came out with like a whole bunch of details in it? And the guy didn't show his face, but he was like holding something in front of his face, and you can see like a reflection on a computer screen. Some people think that his voice is familiar. Okay, so it's talking about like Monday and Tuesday, the local people getting information, the press releases, and how none of the police officers would actually answer questions. Like, they were taking questions, but they weren't answering any questions. Yeah, there was a lack of an actual like person for the media to go to, so it was just assigned to a random person. Yeah, That's not wrong. She's saying the cops really were just like refusing to answer even like the smallest amount of anything. So it instantly started just like an avalanche of insanity. So then now we have, is King Road still blocked off? Can you see anything? Yeah, tons of cops everywhere. I'm still scared to leave my apartment. Yeah, same. I barricaded my door. These are text messages that were going around apparently. Doesn't say between who. You hear anything else about how they died? OD maybe. I didn't hear any pew pew. None of the Sigma Chi guys texted me back. You think they know what happened? That's interesting. There's Ashlyn. A lot of people were saying that it was the party house, that it had an open door policy. People could just walk in and out. She's sitting here saying that's not true. It was a safe space. It is true. You cannot sit here and try to lie to us now. We have seen the body cams where people were pulling up, where police were pulling up, and no one that lived in that house was opening the door, taking responsibility, or even home. They were talking to people that were in and out. We've even heard that the front lock didn't actually work correctly. Remember that? So, Ashlyn, why are you sitting here trying to lie and say that it was some sort of safe space? Kaylee's own sister came out and said all of these things. So I don't know what you're trying to do unless you think that like living there is going to tarnish your reputation for some reason. Don't sit here and lie about what this area was known for before this ever even happened. That's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And now Hunter Johnson is like, people think that it was a rug house. They were selling stuff out of there. Okay, look. You can't sit here and say that people that do think that there's a deeper connection here. Now, the frat thing is where I go. Could the frat situation have something to do with another situation? Because organized things are kind of big. Maybe. But you can't sit here and pretend like all of that didn't come from all of y'all in the first place. People local to that house, people local to that neighborhood, people local to that town, Olivia, the Goncalveses, okay, they all came out and said this about this area and this house. Why are we pretending like none of these things are true? Just because you don't like what came out of all of these truths, don't make the truths untrue. Unbelievable. Especially Hunter Johnson. Like, seriously, you were there partying all the time. You know what was going in and out of that house. Let's be so for real right now. Let's be so for real right now. Maybe fight at a party. Oh, yeah, probably. Was this 100% a pew-pewing? The whole thing that we heard that Christy got a phone call from her niece about was also a rumor going around with other people, apparently. This next one says, laptops, TV, speakers, possible robbery. So are they trying to say that stuff was actually missing? Had to be someone they knew. They all OD'd from Ethan's stuff. I wonder how the Chapins feel about that text being in here. So then, she must have seen it. Oh, I spoke too soon. Stacy saw it because she's right here saying, Maisie and Hunter, you better tell me something right now. Do you know something that we don't know? Come on. Nope, we don't know nothing. Those last few minutes, bro. Ooh, okay. They're talking about how a lot of people were being followed and stuff by the news. You know, they're doing that to the Kerrville flooding victims, to the parents of these children and the families of the people that died in the Kerr County floods. The media are like going and knocking on their doors and people are scam calling them and threatening them and stuff. Humanity is so freaking broken. So Maddie's mom is telling a story about how she tried to go check the mail and she got halfway there and some people got out of the car and came and like bothered her before she could even get to the mailbox. And Hunter Johnson is really mad at the news people because they were the ones that were messaging them. He said it was news people from all across the nation getting into everybody's inbox trying to bother them. Now there's a guy from the university named Blaine Eccles. And I think there's now like the mayor talking now. Yeah. They're saying the last homicide was 7 to 8 years before that. People found a lot of stuff in between that, if I'm not mistaken. It's going through a bunch of the mayor trying to answer questions, but he's like, I don't know how I became the point of contact for the media whenever I didn't even know what was going on. Okay, so it's basically saying that the only reason why there was even a press conference on November the 16th is because the mayor was tired of talking with no answers, and he said, put a badge behind this microphone. Which is, side note, 11/16, according to Dateline's sources, This is also the same date that Bryan Kohberger would have first Googled the crimes, was November 16th. Maddie's mom said that the only thing they could tell her at the time was that it was a sharp object. That could have been, honestly, a couple different things, but yeah. Now, the way that they have the red stuff coming out of the house here, it has way more of a red tint to it. It's very, very prominent. They're showing almost what seems like to be a majority of the press conference, the very first one, with Chief Fry answering questions, which, if you guys didn't know, Chief Fry not only is no longer the chief, lost his race for sheriff, and now has a job over in Washington somewhere. Yeah. Interesting enough, his sign-off was, we're going to do anything we can to solve this, except you didn't solve it. You were looking a completely different direction, and then you took the FBI's call with no information and went stupid. That's what you did. Yeah, so now we're at 11/17, where the autopsy information came out, and there's Mabbitt, Hunter Johnson. Do we know the person? This would cause a lot of stress for us if we know the person, as he's like laughing a little bit. It's very strange. Oh, so somebody sent Maisie the grub truck video too. So yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of like back and forths about who's responsible for actually finding the footage. We've had a guy that does know Xana and Ethan that works for one of the local news sources claim in a documentary it was him and his team. Olivia and Steve Goncalves have claimed that it was them because the private driver, Eric Gower, you know, the one that's married to a Moscow Police Department officer, or at least she was an officer, worked in the office of the Moscow Police Department at the time. He's the one who apparently told the Goncalveses about it. But then we've also had some people on social media claim they're the ones who found it. I mean, honestly, it's a public business. Does it really matter who found it? I guess not. But they're talking about Hoodie Guy. They're playing a lot of what looks like TikToks where people are being like, they're telling him F you and not what nothing to do with him. A lot of people are asking the questions. Okay, so while everyone over here was questioning what was going on, some people did actually recognize Jack Showalter. Apparently Emily recognized him, but Maisie, Ethan's sister, even was questioning, what's up with this guy? She didn't recognize him. So that's pretty interesting. Oh, even Emily was like, we know him. He's Greek life. Why is he being so suspicious? And Josie's saying that her boyfriend knew Jack and were, questioning things. Even Emily gave Jack's name to the police. That's interesting. It's showing some content creators, but while they're talking about the content creators and the groups on Facebook and the TikToks and the Reddits, they're showing a picture from inside the Corner Club that was actually on Be Real that I'd never seen before. Now they're talking about all of the YouTuber web sleuths, which is funny because Steve Goncalves invited them into his house. Some of them dressed up as students and went into the dorms to try to find information. Who does that sound like? Sorry, JLR, but you can't pass as a college student, honey. Try again. Oh my gosh, it's showing Sonia D's comment and talking about the virtual tour of the house. That's wild. Ew, and there's Betty. That's the one that the Goncalveses introduced to the area and brought in. Thank you very much. Blame Steve-O for that one. Oh, and look, there's JLR. They're talking bad about him. Yeah, they're showing him being in front of Sigma Chi with his weird-ass duck lips and his weird camera angle. Ugh, I cannot stand JLR. I don't care how it sounds. It doesn't matter that I'm on YouTube too. We are not co-workers. I don't have to like this fool. He's a freaking criminal. I don't like him at all. That's my opinion. I might be a bitch, but at least I'm not that. That sober driver guy saying that he was getting a lot of comments saying that he was the one who did it, this is the stuff about 4chan. His pupils were like the entire size of his color part of his eyeball. Ew, it's freaking Drunk Turkey. They're talking about all of the noise complaints and all the body cam footage, and they're showing Drunk Turkey, like, analyzing everything about the zip ties and everything, but it was before, whenever the boys were still with him, before he ended up being solo. Daily death threats. Yeah, I can imagine. There's been a lot of crazy stuff out there. And now they're talking about how people were questioning the roommates. Yeah. And we're still going to question the roommates because they were on their phones all night. Dylan saw Xana on the ground and didn't do crap for 8 hours. They were both in the basement room together. There was no dreaming. They were literally living this at the same time. And again, Steve Goncalves himself said the conversation between the two of them on the phone was that they were very aware that people were expiring in that house. Yeah, they deserve to be questioned. They don't deserve all the threats and all the crazy stuff, but they don't deserve any slack when it comes to this, especially whenever nothing is making any sense. Whenever, oh, I was asleep, I didn't hear or see anything. No, you were adding a contact to your phone not 10 minutes before everything apparently started going crazy. You were not asleep. I don't know what the frick Bethany was doing, but there's barely any break in her cell phone activity, and there's no breaks whatsoever in Dylan's cell phone activity for the entire 8 hours. So don't sit there and try to pretend like the questions aren't justified. The babying of these two is disgusting to me. I don't think people should be saying anything because they don't know, because they didn't do anything. Honey, you weren't there either. You and your girlfriend were brought over there and basically were led into the trap of being the ones to find everything. Y'all were not there during the 8 hours. So why are y'all taking up for them? It's amazing. It's amazing. So now they're talking about how Maddie's boyfriend, Jake, was also being harassed, and people were saying that it was him too. I honestly never thought that it was him or Jack Decor. I mean, we questioned stuff with Jack Decor in the very beginning, but pretty soon there I was like, he didn't answer the phone because he didn't want to deal with his drunk ex-girlfriend who was going to be leaving. He didn't want to deal with her. I completely understand that. Jake was in Boise that night. Okay, so here they are bringing up Jack, saying that people were bothering him too. Okay, so now they've moved on to November the 20th for the second press conference. Now they're saying that it was really frustrating because they were clearing people, but they weren't giving any details to give people an idea about what was actually going on. Wow, I guess I forgot that. Somebody did ask, are y'all looking in Washington at all? That's interesting. Because again, they had a lead suspect and they were looking in the complete opposite direction of Washington before they got the call from the feds on the 19th of December. People need to keep that in mind. Okay, so now they're on 11:30, which was the memorial. This is whenever they were really worried that whoever was responsible was going to be at the memorial walking around because it was, on a big field at like a stadium type thing. And Hunter Chapin just said that he had an FBI agent that followed him around the whole time. It was a chick. That's interesting. Oh, they finally showed a clip of the Goncalveses. Okay. Oh, yeah. Now they're talking about how a bunch of locals really thought that it was going to go cold, which is honestly wild. I mean, it is sort of wild because with it only being like a few weeks since it happened, for people to automatically be like, this is never going to be solved after just a few weeks. I mean, December 29th, 2022, Stacy Chapin gets a phone call. Strange it's ringing so late at night. Maddie's mom is saying it was after 11 o'clock their time. And Maddie's mom is saying that the cop on the phone said, don't tell anybody, but we have the suspect in custody. And that's where it ends. Oh boy. Okay, so we're finally getting to the point of arrest. This next one should have been the last one. So I'm really interested to see what they put together so quickly for the 4th episode. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one out, go cook dinner for the kids. Maybe I'll go live tomorrow. We'll just see what happens. I say a lot of things, but then you know what? I have a whole life out here and stuff just goes crazy quite a bit. So I don't always get to do all the things that I want to do the way that I want to do them, but we arrive however we arrive. So let me know what you guys are thinking so far about this down in the comments. Is there anything that I didn't catch, that I missed, that I didn't retell? Let me know so I can go back and take note of anything. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that that notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.